Hello everybody, thank you for joining me. I read an article recently about how to stop snoring. Not that I think I've got a particular problem in that area, but it struck me as interesting because of the solution, which was to attach a tennis ball to the small of your back in your sleep so that you had to lie on your side, because if you rolled over onto your back, which is apparently when most people start snoring, it'll hurt, so you won't do it, and therefore you won't snore. Well, it seemed fairly drastic, though I sounded from the article as though it was effective. And it struck me that whilst snoring, it may not be a habit that is a worry for me, there are other things in my life that are habits, thoughts, temptations, that it might be good to feel there was a solution to. Things that I don't feel are right. And you may have things too that are, temptations, or maybe thoughts that you have about other people that constantly recur, that are unkind and unloving, or something you do in your relationship with somebody that isn't helping that relationship, but you somehow keep on doing it. We all probably have something in our lives that is not right, and we'd like to be rid of it. It isn't exactly what Christians would call a sin, or it might be, but it's just something that's not particularly loving or caring, or something that we feel is part of a good life. There are ways of dealing with these sort of things. One is to, whenever the thought comes, the temptation comes, is to brush it away. Some people like a physical action to kind of remove it from their heads. Other people find that it's helpful to engage the thought in conversation. In other words, to sort of distance yourself from it. Talk to the thought so that you can ask it why it's there, or you can tell it to go away, or so that it's not so much part of you. It's out there. There are other ways too of dealing with these particular challenges, these temptations. But of course, for a Christian, as well as using techniques like that, we want to bring these things to God. And I came across a way of approaching this the other day that I rather like, and I hadn't come across before. Because some of us, I think, very often, particularly in relation to God, feel very guilty about this sort of thing. We punish ourselves for things that are part of our lives that we know to be wrong. The ancient Christian idea of compunction, doesn't deny the wrongness of what is being done. The word, which I think is used there differently from how it is in modern use, it comes from the Latin is about piercing. So the sense is that we're aware of the piercing nature of the thing that we are feeling isn't right, and the importance and significance and how important it is to deal with it, but within the love and the care and the commitment of God, so that it's not a question of beating ourselves up. It's experiencing the sadness that comes with recognizing our failure, alongside the joy that comes from knowing that in spite of it, we're still loved. St. John of the Ladder, who was one of the early Christians who believed in and promoted this concept, talked about it as the grief that makes for joy, the sense of sadness at who we are, but when we bring it to God and recognize its piercing nature, we also experience a sense of being loved and the joy that goes along with that. And I think that's a helpful way of approaching the kinds of things I'm talking about. There are techniques that we can use, but let's also, as we come to God, recognize that within the ambit of God's love and God's care, there is power there, there is strength there to get rid of some of these things from our lives and to find a new peace in His forgiveness.